Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. And today was a green day in the markets. Finally, investors could finally breathe a sigh of relief as the overall market had a big pump. Almost everything was in the green today, and I know that all my positions saw green as well. So I had quite the pump in my portfolio. And days like this is why I have been investing while everything is low. So there has been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the markets. But as I always say, I'm a long-term bull on the markets. And so while things have been dipping, I have been adding to positions. And it is again because of days like this. And so today, just because so much happened, we're going to do a little bit of a stock roundup on some of the plays that we talk about. So we're going to be talking about DWave Quantum, ticker symbol being QBTS. This is quantum computing. Then we're going to be talking about BBAI as well. The Big Bear saw a pretty good day as well, up 7%. As you know, I am always bullish on the Big Bear. And then we're going to finish off with DJT, not the president, but the stock DJT, Trump Media and Technology Group. So we're going to be doing an overall stock roundup of all these plays today. But before I do my technical and fundamental analysis, I want to say, as always, that this is not financial advice. I always recommend that you do your own due diligence before investing. So first, we're going to start off here by taking a look at quantum. And so QBTS, a stock that we have been talking about recently on this channel, they recently had their earnings report, and this stock went absolutely crazy today. So up 47% today, but it is up 109% for the week. And so for me, I do a lot of options contracts, and because of this 100% gain, I have seen some serious exponential gains. And this puts us at an interesting spot when it comes to QBTS, as we could see that in the all-time chart, we have finally reached back to the green. And so this is the first time that QBTS has seen green in a long time. So this is one of those stocks that came out in 2022, right before the market had some dips, a hard retraction. And finally, DWave Quantum has popped again. And so if you're not investing into quantum, I will say what I always say. These stocks are very volatile, and they could go either way, really. But the reason why QBTS is pumping so much is because they recently had their earnings report, and they came out with some positive revenue expectations for the future. And so for this last report that they had for Q4 of 2024, things weren't great. They only made 2.2 million when it came to revenue, and they did have a loss per share. But what is super positive about QBTS, and the reason why this stock is gaining so much value right now, is because the intrinsic value in QBTS seems to be rising, as their expectations for the future is that for the first quarter, so for the March quarter, they expect revenue to be at 10 million. If you know the history of QBTS, this is massive, and this is going to be their biggest quarter ever. So with the history of QBTS, they have never broken past 2 million in a quarter. So them to be at 10 million is a 4x in their quarterly revenue, meaning that the next year for quantum may be pretty huge. And so right here, I have the chart on quantum for the technical analysis, and we could see that we have these three levels of support and resistance here. So right here at the top, where we currently are right now, at the top for all quantum stocks and QBTS, this was when the NVIDIA CEO came out and he said some bearish statements about quantum. He said that it was going to take a lot longer for quantum to get any actual utility in the real world. And so because of that, all quantum stocks dropped, including this one, fell all the way down to the support around $4. But then with the earnings we had yesterday, we were just talking about this right before we saw the jump when quantum was right around the $5 mark, that the next resistance level was going to be here around $8, around $7.40 to $8. It absolutely blew past that. And now DWave is looking like it's going to tap that same resistance that it had right at the beginning. But again, this is actually breaking QBTS out of the bear market that it has been in for the last 4 years. So this is pretty significant. And again, with their expectations for the future, that says a lot about quantum and what we could be seeing. And if you don't know about quantum, or you think that quantum is going to take longer than many investors expect, if you don't see real world use in quantum, well, think about this. There is already a lot of blue chip companies using quantum, and more specifically, DWave Quantum. And so DWave Quantum is the industry leader when it comes to quantum Quantum, and they already have a lot of big commercial customers, including Volkswagen, MasterCard, BBVA, and then also I'm not seeing here on this list, but Google as well. So there is a lot of utility behind Quantum, and a lot of big corporations are already behind Quantum. So despite what the NVIDIA CEO said, I think that bearish statement was wrong, and I see QBTS and all Quantum having a crazy year coming up. And just like I was saying with Quantum, there is a lot of volatility behind it. So I know bears cannot be too happy right now, as we were just talking about this again in yesterday's video, and that is the possibility of a squeeze versus a massive market drop. And well, we could see here that the shorts have really loaded up against DWave Quantum. And so the bears, like I say, oh man, they got to be so angry today, as there is a short interest of 21%. If you don't know a lot about short interest, anytime you rise above 10, that is getting to some really high interest levels. So to be at 20, that is absolutely crazy. And so we know with the market that it's always trying to price in future expectations, future revenue, future earnings. The market is always forward looking. And so the next stock I have here, BBAI, BigBearAi, as many of you know, I'm very bullish on the Big Bear, and that is because of the future outlook that I have on BigBearAi. So Big Bear had a big leap today as well, up 7%, putting us right back at $3.50. And so when we do our short-term technical analysis on BigBearAi, this is a great level we sit at. So you see here that I have a support level for BigBearAi, and that we tapped right at that support level, and that we are now moving back up. So it's great to see that Big Bear is holding on this trend. And what's even better is we see, despite the great gains we saw in the overall market and in Big Bear, 7%, that is a pretty decent jump. We still are oversold on the MACD, and we are very low on the RSI. And so it looks like Big Bear, price movement wise, with momentum, that if we do continue to see green candlesticks on Monday and beyond, that they should continue on this trend. And when we just look at resistance level when it comes to BigBearAi, one second, let me draw out another line. We can see that before we did have this massive jump here, that the trend lines were building around here. And so if it continues on this overall trend, before Big Bear got a little overbought when it went to around $10, the next major resistance level that we could expect for Big Bear, if it taps this level, would be right about, let's adjust this line just a little bit. I want to make this accurate here. If it continues on that trend line, would be right around $6.85. And so I was talking about future outlooks with BigBearAi, and during all this recent fear, uncertainty, and doubt, I felt that this was kind of in the shadows of the crashing market that we have been seeing, and that is that Big Bear secured another big contract. So they secured a $13.2 million contract that is going to span over the next 3.5 years. $13.2 million when it comes to company isn't huge, but it's still money regardless, and it is going to improve their balance sheet. And so we could just see here on the positives and negatives on Stock Titan that there is zero negatives. The positive, they got more money. This is their second contract awarded through the Department of Defense, which again is huge because their CEO, Kevin, does have ties to Trump, and he was a former member of the Department of Homeland Security. And so we talked about this when he became CEO, how huge this is and how this helps to put Big Bear as a front runner for future contracts. So we see they got another big contract, and this just continues on their trend, as they got that huge contract right before this with the Department of Defense, which sent the stock price up for Big Bear. And so what's really positive about Big Bear and their future outlook, we know too, that they recently had their earnings, despite the negative price movements we saw, like we were talking about. That had to do a lot with the macro trends. The overall market has been dropping a lot because of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt around tariffs, inflation, and just so on and so on. And so it's had all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But during this time, Big Bear announced their Q4 earnings, and they do have a positive outlook for the future. So they didn't have the best revenue expectations for next year, even though we are seeing them gain more contracts. But what is really positive is that they did exactly what we said they need to do to continue to have sustainable growth, and that is pay down their debt. So recently they brought their net debt down from 150 million down to 27 million, and their debt to cash ratio has decreased. So it does look like, when it comes to future outlook for BigBearAi, that they are improving their company and paying down debt. So that is a massive positive, making more money, paying down debt. The future for Big Bear looks very good, and as always, I'm very bullish on the Big Bear. And the last stock that we're going to talk about here today is the president's stock, DJT, Trump Media and Technology Group. So with all the recent fear, uncertainty, and doubt, DJT has had a bite taken out of it as well. But we did see a nice recovery in the stock today. So right now, Trump Media and Technology Group sits at $20. And when we pull up a longer trend for technical analysis, I have been talking about this level for a long time. So we see I have this line drawn out here, and that is because I believe that to be the overall main support when it comes to DJT. So we could see over the last year that this spot has tapped multiple times, and I believe that right now we are oversold with DJT. We could see that we look oversold on the MACD for DJT. We are underneath this major support line, and then also we are low on the RSI. And so if we continue to see a bounce in the markets, I believe that we will see a big bounce in DJT as well. And so when we talk about DJT also, there's been a lot of intrinsic value and a lot of events happening behind the scenes. So I know that the fear, uncertainty, and doubt has been the front runner, the big picture in a lot of people's mind. But during that time, let's also remember that DJT, the president himself, did have a big crypto summit, and they had the strategic reserve as the focus. So they talked about how they're going to save the Bitcoin that they have, the 200,000 Bitcoins that they had seized back in the day. They're not going to be selling it, and they're having a crypto reserve. So this was pretty big. If you know, with DJT, the reason why this would affect the stock DJT, as we've been talking about for a long time, Donald J. Trump is looking to push us further into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. And so during his run for president, there was a lot of crypto promises made. He talked about having Bitcoin, all that in the White House. We see that is happening already with the strategic reserve, but also Trump Media and Technology Group has been shifting from being just a media platform, but to also being a crypto service as well, and having a lot of crypto instruments. So we know that they recently had a $250 million investment with Charles Schwab, and they're looking to make all these different ETFs. So the Bitcoin Plus ETF, the U.S. Energy Independence ETF, and then also a Made in America ETF. But what's really big there, you see again the Bitcoin Plus ETF. And so overall, Donald J. Trump and DJT is becoming more and more involved with cryptocurrency. We know when stocks get involved into cryptocurrency, those gains in crypto show up into the balance sheet as well. And a lot of plays in general get a lot of hype from just being involved with cryptocurrency. And so many times companies will just announce an involvement in crypto or announce a potential investment into Bitcoin, and we will see a big pump then. And then we've also seen companies like MicroStrategy that is actively investing into Bitcoin, and we have seen how Bitcoin has affected their price. And so with DJT, that same thing can be said. Again, they just had a big investment with Charles Schwab, and overall, they are looking to get more and more into cryptocurrency with the president himself pushing us more into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. And so myself, I am very bullish on all three of these plays. Let's remember that the market could go either way going into Monday. Don't be naive to what could happen. Many times we do have a green pump like this, and then there is a drop off right after that. So that could happen. But we could also see the green continue. The FOMC meeting is going to happen on March 18th and 19th, which is next week. Markets are anticipating this big meeting. It is unlikely that the Fed is going to cut an interest rate here, but it is always possible. But if there is a cut, that could be very stimulative for the market, and we could really see this really rise even more. And so again, today was green. Don't be naive to what the markets can bring. If you have too much money loaded in, don't forget to have some stop losses along the way or take profit. Just remember to be at a position where you are comfortable. But myself, I'm a very long-term bull on the markets. I hold for the long term, and I have a very long scope on the markets. And so I have been investing when things have been red recently, and I am really hoping that we continue to see this turnaround even more towards the upside. The bulls who have been adding to their strong positions really made a lot of money today, and I'm sure many bulls are super happy with what we saw in the markets today. But I would be curious to hear what everyone else has to say about the markets down below. So please drop a comment. Let me know what you think about QBTS, BBAI, DJT, and your overall sentiment on the market in the comment section below. Please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.